Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica podcast partner AFRY. AFRY is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. I have the pleasure to welcome you, Fermín, to Urbanistica podcast. Hey, and welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Well, fine. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet you, and happy to have this interview.
Same here. I'm happy as well. So, when did you arrive to Helsingborg?
Well, we in Valencia team. I come from Valencia City in Spain. Came on Sunday. Most of the team, and on Monday the rest of the team, because we had a stand on the H22, and we had some work to do, Monday. So we are the whole week here.
Nice. Are you? So you're going back home after the week? You're staying more?
No. We are staying until Friday, and Friday we start the way back home.
Yeah. So how did you like the city?
Well, I love the city. I was in the past in Sweden, but I haven't never been here in Helsingborg, and that's like a beautiful city and a beautiful place, and it's like take from a movie,
Yeah.
as we are accustomed, we are used to some other cities, in the south of Europe.
Yeah, but also it's very beautiful to see so many people from other countries here gathering.
That's a great experience, and moreover, after 2 years of break, and a different world, and being able to meet people that you have met on the screen, and really get the chance to know them and how they speak, how they are. That's a really great experience.
Yeah. Are you a fan of digital meetings or more?
Well, not really.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that because I'm a computer science engineer, so I'm supposed to say.
I can cut this.
No, it's really because you see, I love technology. I love the digital stuff, and because digital technology is all around, in our lives, But I'm even worried about what we use the technology for, what public value we create. And, I am a civil servant, so I'm aware about public value, and how we use that technology in order to create that public value. So I'm really fond of the public value, and the innovation and the changes that we made with our technology, and if we use it well. Yeah.
So Fermín, you are our storyteller. Tell me the listeners' highlight about you and about your passion.
Well, my passion, I have like 2 or 3 passions, and I'm not like a multi-passionate guy. My work is my passion. It's one of my passions. I admit it. Probably I could say I'm a workaholic or something like that. Like I like to work. I think I like what I do, so it's part of my life. I also I'm fan of music and rock music, heavy metal music, and all that. That's a personal stuff, and I like poetry too. And I think that was my not accomplished, dream, to be a poet in that. And my family is my passion. It's like all those 3-4 things are what really gets me on.
And take us back in time, like where you grew up, your childhood, what do you study, work with?
Well, I was born in Valencia, 50 years ago. So I'm like, I have some experience already. And well, my childhood was like a really tough because I had some like issue problems with health, and I'm like handicapped person, and I have like some parts of my body are they are metal,
Okay.
parts, and so it was kind of hard because I was that illness, I had that illness back at the beginning of the life. And but that helps you to be a resilient person and to move on. And I study for going to study law and economics. I was more from the humanistic part of the knowledge. But when I was 18 years old, I got a scholarship because I was a good student. It sounds bad saying that, but I was a good student. I love to study, to work. I got a scholarship to go to Wisconsin in the USA for 1 year to study before going to the college in Spain. And I decided to study what I didn't know, the mathematics, the physics, the computer science. And then I got in love with the computer science, the technology and that. And I came back to Spain and gave like a really bad news for my family and my dad and my mom because they thought I was going to study law and economics. And then I was going to study something that they didn't know what it was, like technology, computer science. What's that for? I'm talking about the 19th in last century. So I decided to study technology. I work I studied technology in the Polytechnical University of Valencia, which is one of the best universities around the world in that material and all the engineering stuff. And then I started working, in enterprises and as a consultant, as a programmer, or something like that. Until I decided to accept an offer and to try to become a civil servant, to make my work as a service to the rest, to the society and to the people. And that's I think a really good decision that I made 25 years ago or 20 years ago already. Because maybe the wage is not so high, but the feeling that you are working to do something, to change something, to make life better for the rest of the people, that's something that is not paid with money.
Yeah. So and what are you working with now?
Now, since 4 years ago, in 2018, I became the innovation director of the City of Valencia, or the City Hall of and the City Council of Valencia, and we start like a path, like a project or like a dream. We call it Missions Valencia 2030, which is like a huge movement, in order to apply what Professor Mazzucato and the European Commissions are putting into the plate, of research and innovation in Europe, for going to achieve missions that are impossible to achieve, and redirecting all the efforts from the science and from the innovation to help to reach that mission. We found those things in 2018, 2019. In Valencia, we got inspired by all that, and we decided to make Valencia a testbed city to try all those policies that the European Commission and a brilliant woman, Mazzucato, was pointing out to the society. So that's what we are doing. We are deploying the mission-oriented concept that Europe and the cleverest people, in the world are talking about, into a practitioner city, like in a real city with real problems and with problems.
Yeah, I love that we talk more about projects and details. And before we do that, I would love to hear from you. How do you define innovation? Like, because like for me, innovation, like sustainability, it's like very big and abstract word. From your perspective, what is innovation?
Well, I like there are a lot of definitions of innovation and a lot of doctrine, and studies about that. But I like a definition of innovation that says that innovation is any change, not only technological, that comes from knowledge, the knowledge that we have, not only a scientific knowledge, and that creates value, and not only economic value.
Okay.
And I like that definition because of what it says, and because what if it quotes, like not technological. Sometimes innovation is any change but the technology is not needed to make that change. All the technology is ready, is mature. So the innovation appears when you apply the technology in a different way.
Yeah.
Based on knowledge. But not only scientific. I wouldn't be the person that says that science and knowledge is not important. But people have something that the machines don't have, which is intuition, which is experience, and sometimes the intuition, the experience, is also a source of knowledge for the innovation, and that creates value. I wouldn't be the person that says the economic value is not important, but we are in the public side, in the public sector. It's not only enough economic value. We have to think about economic value, social value, and environmental value.
Yeah,
it's like a triple bottom line concept here, because not only economic value is worth it.
It's interesting what you mentioned now about the innovation. It's not only related to tech, or should give back an economical value, because this is like what we usually think about when we read innovation. It's about nowadays, it's about like the 5G, the AI, but from what I understand from you, like even maybe if I make a window in this wall, could be an innovation if it gives a value to me, like maybe more sunlight or air ventilation.
Yeah, that's the key question. Because if we say that innovation only comes from technology, and I'm an engineer on that, we are like discarding a whole bunch of sources for innovation. I said most of the time I say that maybe in innovation we are putting to the innovation word too many last names, no?
Yeah.
Like technological innovation, like social innovation,
green innovation.
Exactly. I would focus on the innovation and let any sector, any activity, any technology, any source of knowledge, including the humanities.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a poet.
Exactly.
I'm a lost poet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Including the humanities, to put on the table the creativity and the talent that people have in order to create solutions, in order to create new products.
Yeah. Because also, this is very interesting that you as a scientist and working with data, you also wants to do poetry, work with text, because usually we see like, okay, you're programming your numbers, not really in touch with the text, but this is very interesting image that you send now. And sometimes I hear word innovator, as a position. What is your reflection about this? Is it like a position, or everyone could be?
I think it's a good question, because I think anyone can be an innovator. Anyone has talent. Anyone has creativity. Because that's something that the human being has. Talent and creativity. I'm not talking that we are using that talent and creativity for good things. It can be used for whatever. Bad things too.
Yeah.
But so anyone can be an innovator, because we have two issues, two characteristics, which is talent and creativity. That are the raw material for to become an innovator. But I would say that innovator is more like a look, like a side, like a culture, like how you look to the things, how you,
like a mindset.
Yeah, it's more like than a role or than a position. No? And I don't believe in big departments of innovation departments. I believe.
Why not?
Because probably everyone, that organization will think that the only ones that has to innovate is the big department.
Okay.
No, I believe in small and flexible innovator departments that make the transition, the culture transition, the mindset, to the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
So the person that works in mobility can innovate in mobility.
Yeah.
The person that works in social services can innovate in social service. I'm more fond, of those concepts, that not big labs or big departments, that all the innovation on that city or on that organization has to be there.
So you're more about like spreading, and everybody in the public sector or anywhere, even children in school could be innovators.
Yeah. Yes, and probably for the mission-oriented concepts, those things that Europe and Professor Mazzucato is pointing out, that we should go through that. We need those talents from the school, those talents from the associations, those talents and creativity from the private sector, the academia, because only with the public talent will not be enough.
Sure.
And to achieve those missions.
Yeah. And let's talk more about details about project that you do in Valencia. But before, also, you mentioned mission-oriented. What does it mean?
Well, the mission-oriented concept is like some guide, that Professor Mariana Mazzucato gave to the European Commission in order to outline the future policies on research and innovation in Europe. Taking into account for 3 or 4 failures or mistakes, errors that we made in the past. And she said that in the past we have done a lot of things, a lot of resources in research and innovation, but there has been some things that didn't work. Some of them is that citizens do not perceive that all the effort that we have made in research and innovation is improving their lives. Maybe it does, but it's a question of perception.
Yeah.
The second mistake that we did in the past is that in the past there is a huge gap between the big challenges of the world, the SDGs. There's the huge gap between that and the projects that we do to achieve them. Between clean oceans and what we do to clean our oceans, the gap is so big that we get lost along the way. And the third lesson that she pointed to the Commission, the European Commission, was that in the past we choose previously in what sectors, in what activities, in what source of knowledge we were going to innovate and research and innovate. And when you do so, when you choose previously the source of knowledge where you are going to research and innovate, you are discarding others. And who can tell you that the solution for the cancer is not in one of the subjects or knowledge that you have decided not to investigate? So she pointed that the European Commission should emulate what the United States did last century with the concept of a mission, that was to put a man on the moon and bring him back to alive. Like that weird mission, that the Americans did, last century, past century, just to focus on that mission, all the resources that they have, and to boost any project coming from any side, any activity, any sector, any technology, any source of knowledge that could demonstrate the viability and impact on the mission. She recommended the European Commission to decide the missions, and then redirect all the efforts coming from any sector, activity, technology, and source of knowledge that pointed to the same missions. And the European Commission accept that goal and decide to work on cancer, climate adaptation, health of waters, health of the air, and health of the soil and the foods, like the five
elements,
big planets, to be conquered.
How does Valencia react to this?
Well, we got inspired by these things, for coming from very clever people in the European Commission and from a very clever and brilliant woman, Matsukato. We got inspired by that, and we decided to consider if we could be a testbed city for those concepts.
Why you want to be that? Is it not like just a lot of money and resources?
No, because it made sense. Because we were doing a lot of things, but we had the feeling that the citizens didn't perceive that the things that we were doing were improving, their lives, no? Because sometimes we did a lot of projects, but we didn't know how we were helping to the big challenges. So
there is not like a link to the big mission, or
no, because those references that we found back in 2018 and 2019 help us to solve some of our deficiencies. And we said, well, let's try it. That makes sense, no? And we started a way, without knowing if European Commission would really approve the missions in the future. European Commission has approved right now, this year, the first mission, to have 100 European cities climate neutral by 2030. That's the first mission. No?
Yeah,
and Valencia is one of them. And so we're very happy. We applied to be one of them, and probably the work that we have done in the last 2 years on a mission-oriented will help us to be one of them. No? But we decided to try it and to make or create what we call Missions Valencia 2030, because taking profit of a idiomatic coincidence, missions in English and missions in our regional language is written the same way.
That's good.
So we just have the brand, for that.
You like to play with words, huh?
Yeah, I'm a poet. What can I tell?
Yeah.
So we decide to establish and to offer technically to the society first, and to the political stuff, and governance model for the city on that sense. And that was a really great experience, because in Valencia, this Missions Valencia 2030 was approved by 31 out of 33 of the councillors in the city, coming from the government and the main parties on the opposite side.
Okay.
So, and that's weird in Spain, because in Spain we don't have big agreements, between government and the opposite side.
Yeah.
31 out of 33 said yes, this is a good idea. This is
a very big thing.
That's a very big thing for us. And that's something that is really important for a mission, because you cannot change your planet that you want to visit every 4 years.
True.
Yeah, you cannot say. And I reference to the planet, just because we understand what we are talking. But I want to point here that there is a big difference between the mission that the USA established the last century and the missions that the European Commission and the European Union has established. And we explain it to our people and society in the following way. Going to the moon and coming back, it wasn't necessary. It was a technological mission. They established that mission in order to develop technology. And it was a huge technology revolution.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessary. My mom would say that wasn't necessary. But the missions that the European Commission has established, they are all necessary.
It's
they
a
are
must.
Social and environmental missions.
Yeah.
And they are necessary. Climate change, health of waters, health of air, health of soil and foods, cancer. So those are like social and environmental missions, and that was a technological mission. This is necessary. This is necessary to face that.
But is it also tangible? I mean, like US said that we put a man on the moon and bring him back. It's something tangible. So they made it. Even maybe that time was not. It's like a dream. But now, when you say like a water, and is the mission tangible? Can you achieve it, or is still like a vision?
No, it's some of the good things that a mission has is that has to be measurable, has to be accurate in time, has to be understandable. And for example, the first mission for Europe, 100 European cities, okay, and we have the list of them, becoming climate neutral by 2030. That means making the urban transformations so that we can reduce the greenhouse emissions in such a way that we get neutral, and the pollution, and we help, to the big fight, against the climate change, with measurable, measures. So I would say we cannot explain to the society that we're going to be climate neutral. We have to use some other language, because my mom doesn't understand what climate neutral is. So we have to talk about something different.
Related.
What we call it the co-benefits. When we address to our society, we don't talk about climate neutrality, or we don't talk about positive energy districts, which my mom doesn't understand. We talk about the value that the mission has. We're talking about the co-benefits. We talk about health. My mom understands. It's an old 80 years old lady, so she understands about health. We talk about less noise coming from the cars. We talk about savings on the electricity bill. My mom understands savings and noise. We talk about pollution. We talk about greener areas are close to home. We talk about the things that people understand
in their daily life.
And affect the daily life. Because if we, as an engineer, we use some technical stuff, some technical issues, some technical material, but no one will understand us. So, and that's why we have in put together, with our innovation model, the mass media. We work with the public sector, we work with the private sector, with the academia, and with the civil society. But also, that's what we call the four propellers, the four helix model. But in Valencia, we have added the mass media, because the communicators,
like a newspaper,
radio, TV, newspapers, periodists, journalists, journalists, because you people that are associated with the communication help us how to translate the technical stuff in what the society and the normal people understanding my mom understands.
So again, like you listened to the call and you started to work with it in Valencia. You already had some projects and you start with using media as well. So can you give us some of project references, like example of what you do? And you can explain in detail so we learn as well.
We learn some other thing that it was really important for focusing on the mission. The mission normally is a really big complexity. It's such a big complexity that it's impossible to achieve it. Probably that's why we call it a mission, because it's impossible. I'm sure that the last century, most of the people would say, well, it's impossible to go to the moon and come back.
Mission impossible.
It's a mission impossible. So let's start with that. This is impossible. But in order to make it possible, we have to understand that we need both things. Bold public policies, decisions that yes or no. Bold public policies oriented to the missions. We don't need innovation for that. We just need decisions in order to go that. And in the same, that's why we call it the two sides of the same coin. In one side, bold public policies oriented to the mission, and in the other side, mission-oriented innovation to try to experiment, to create new products and services that when they work, because they may not work. Innovation experimentation is a raw material for the experimentation is the raw material for the innovation. When they work, you can transfer to the public policies, because the public policies, the decisions the politicians made, they don't like the risk.
Yeah.
They don't like the risk. So you have to take the risk into the other side of the coin.
And then bring it.
Yeah, and then when it works, then bring them. So in the examples that we can offer, we have both things. We have decisions on the city. That is a yes or no decision. City of Valencia. This is a yes or no decision. Are we going to create low emission zones for the mobility? Yes or no?
So you mean not like guidelines? We try to reduce the like put a target or give a yes or no.
Yeah. So if we say yes, we go for it, and we establish like low emission zones, and that's a political decision.
Okay.
That doesn't need innovation. We know. Do we want to renaturalize the city or no? Yes. The decision is yes. Then you go for applying to renaturalize to increase the biodiversity of the city as it was like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a decision, a political decision. But sometimes you need the other side, the projects, the innovation projects, because maybe you need to figure out new ways of doing things. For example, we refit a neighbor, making for people transforming the streets and the squares and all that, taking out the cars, and making the streets for pedestrians, for example. But you could, that's a decision, that's a political decision. But you could also use some new materials that the innovators and the researchers are doing, that material that you use on the street will reduce the greenhouse emissions. Let's try it. Because if it works, all the squares in the city and all the streets that you are like making for pedestrians should use that material because it worked. So that can be a project. To get that. Or for example, one of the big issues in Valencia, how we engage citizens on the mission. Well, maybe we need to unfold new products or new ways in order to get involved in that civic engagement that we don't know already. So that's an innovation project, that can help, to go that. What we are talking in Valencia is not only the projects that we from the public side do, but the projects also that the university does, that the private sector does, etc., in order to be pointed to the same direction.
Which comes first, the bold decisions or the pilot projects?
But it depends. It depends. Sometimes it comes first, the bold public decision. And then you need to deploy and to unfold innovation to find out some things. And sometimes you try an innovation because it's a good innovation pointed to the mission, and the result of that innovation project works, and then you transfer that decision for a decision, policy decision. That can be yes or no, but sometimes it's yes, and so it's the other way around. So we are not worried about what comes first. We are worried about having the same direction, because sometimes it comes first the political decision, and then afterwards the innovation, and sometimes it's the other way around.
Innovation, then the political should respond to them.
Is that they are connected. That's what really is important for us, and that's what really what we really care.
Can you share with us like a project that Valencia work with, like?
For example, in the stand that we have here in the H22 square here,
Expo.
We have a stand shared with some of the city, Tampere from Finland. We are showing some of the projects that we are deploying oriented to the mission. One of them is like it's called Grow Green. Is how you use nature-based solutions in order to refit neighborhoods and help to the mission to be accomplished. Like how we are going to make a new green area But no, to make a new green area is easy. The hard thing here is how to maintain the green area. To be efficient and to be oriented to the mission to a climate neutrality, because you create a green area and then you spend a lot on the maintenance and you have a lot of emissions, to maintain, that green area. Well, we are not working that. So that project has like a whole bunch of operations oriented to use the nature-based solutions in order to find something. For example, can you establish like a green area on a building, on the face of a building, so the temperature of the building gets like more acceptable, for human being, living there, or how a green area or on the building, on the roof, on the wall affects to the electricity expense in that building. All those things we are trying. Another of the project that we are showing here is a project that Valencia was the coordinator of for the whole bunch of cities in Europe, which is called Matchup project, and also goes on electricity. How do you use electricity? How do you use mobility? How you use ICT, like technologies, and smart technology, smart cities, all that stuff, and how you engage society on a neighbor, a neighborhood in our city. And we are trying solutions of how to get energy from the waves, because from the waves, the movement of the waves can give you some electricity. We are trying those things because we have a sea there. We are the Mediterranean Sea is over there, so we can use all those movements of the waves to generate electricity. We don't know if it works efficiently enough, that's what we are trying. Some other thing that we are doing is we are refitting our lamps, our street lamps, so that they can give us light in the night. That's what they do. But the most of the day, they are switch off. Well, we are trying to refit them so they can charge electric vehicles during the day. Because that's a public infrastructure that we have on the streets, that we have. We are not using it the most in Spain. In Valencia, the days are really long. So we have light. Natural life. The most part of the day. Well, maybe that infrastructure we have thousands and thousands of lamps in the street, and they are switched off most of the day. So can they do something else that helps the mission? Instead of installing electric rechargers, all around the city again. That's a project. That's some of the operations, of some of the sub-projects that those big projects they have. Some examples.
How do you come up with like this kind of project? Like, let's say the one with lights and charging elements. Do you say, okay, we have this mission, let's think about this, or like how do you generate the idea?
Well, the good thing here is that, and that's some lesson that we have learned, in this way, is that you don't have to know everything. You don't have. Sometimes the public sector or the private sector, they think that they have to know everything, and that's a mistake. And that's a mistake. Because and it's a mistake if you are in the public sector, because we have like an advantage is that the ideas can come from anywhere, from society, from researchers, from enterprises, from startups, and all that. So the problem is that you are able. The key issue here is that if you are able to listen to those ideas and put them, as part of a portfolio of projects, in order to go to the European Commission and ask for funds, in order to pay, those experiments, So there is a lot of ways, to get those ideas. and they come from people, they come from researchers, they come from some other cities that you get in a consortiums together. And we're trying this. Well, we want to try this also in our city.
Yeah.
So, and you have to be humble, and with generosity to share ideas. The ideas have to be open and have to be shared, in the public side, because we have had an advantage. There is not a competence between Helsingborg and Valencia. We love from Valencia that Helsingborg goes really well in what they are trying here, and I'm sure Helsingborg will wish that everything goes well in Valencia.
Yeah, of course. So many people are listening to you from 125 countries. So if you give us some kind of steps that Valencia is doing within innovation, so what can we learn from your experience in Valencia?
Well,
what are the steps that we can take?
Well, I think it's important the steps, because one things come first than the other things. I think I wouldn't say that it was like big accomplishments, big things that we did, but we learned, through these 3 years of work, on a mission-oriented theme. The first step I would do is to build a wide social and political consensus, and I explain this. It's important to explain what is a mission-oriented, what we are doing, and explain in a way, that people understand. If you go to researchers, you can use the technical stuff, but if you go to citizens or a civic association or civic society, but you change your language, to explain the co-benefits, as I said before. But it's important to agree, in which areas for the city, for our society, would be good to have a mission, and over that social agreement that you can work, like a couple of months or 3 months, with workshops and all that, build the political agreement, the political consensus, because you cannot change your planet every 4 years. That's a mistake. You cannot change the focus for innovation and for changes, for dramatic changes or for transitions. You cannot change the planet every 4 years. Remember again, the inspiration. If the Americans have changed the planet every 4 years, the mission was a failure. So the mission has to be a really good mission in the long term, a really big complexity, and has to be really important for us. So first, you need to build that social and political consensus. We did that throughout a year and a half. That's why we have 31 out of 33 councillors saying yes, go for it.
Yeah. We
have 2 that says no. 2, because they are anti-European. And they are climate change deniers. So that's what we have. So you have the first step. The second step you have to realize is that this is innovation in general, but a mission, the climate mission, for example, is a collective journey, not an individual destination. It's a collective journey. I think only with public effort, we will not be able to get more than 10% of the success rate of the mission, 10-15%. You have to consider that you need the whole ecosystem, private sector, academy, civil society, and citizens, and mass media. We have mass media there. If you go with them, if you create that building, that ecosystem, in that collective journey, maybe you'll go a little bit further than the 10%.
Yeah.
And for that, you need to be generous and talk about distributed leaderships. We want them to be leaders in whatever they want to do. And the medal, when they have success, the success has to be theirs, not yours, as a government. You are the local government. The local government is, it's government, so it's politicians, public servants. So that's the second step that I would encourage. collective journey, more than in the individual destination, and distributed leaderships, which is really important. And the third step that I would say is that is really, really important is the communication. Then you have to change your language. You have to take it when you talk about this, because this is a really heavy stuff. And it gets really, really heavy and difficult. So even I have to learn a lot. I like this project because I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about energy, about mobility, about computers, about a lot of things, about data. This is heavy stuff. So change your language. That's important. I think those three main issues in that order. The direction, the collective journey, and the social communication of the value of what we are doing. That's something that I would repeat again if I had to start all over zero, from zero.
Yeah. It's very interesting and inspiring, the journey you did. And I would love that even when you go back home in Valencia, we keep the conversation, we explore more of the project. If you have time later after the summer. And now I have the last two questions. And the first one is going to be, you give the listeners 3 takeaway messages about how can we be more innovative and creating future cities.
Well, I'm overwhelmed because I'm not sure, if I'm the right guy, to give the lessons, but I like to think in. I don't know if I would be able to express it correctly in English, but I'm going to try it. Like incompetent people compete.
Incompetent people compete.
Competent people collaborate. I don't know if it's right. No?
It's right. I got your message. Okay. Yeah, it's very clear.
So let's go for the second. Competent people collaborate. So let's not try to do everything by ourselves. No one can do anything relevant by himself or herself. You have to collaborate to make those changes, and that's important. I think that's a lesson that we learn, and we everyone want to be competent. Everyone want to let's collaborate for that, and I think that's a key message that I would do. The second message is that remember my mom. So when you do things, talk to your mom, talk to your dad, and ask them if they understand what you're doing. If they say no, work harder.
Okay,
you have to work harder. In explaining what you do. Because sometimes the public sector, the cities, the cities that we have as our work to run a city, we only talking about our stuff and with our slang, with our words, So take your mom and your dad as a labs, as a citizen labs, And the third lesson is that I said it before, going to the moon wasn't necessary. Climate change, reducing inequalities, eradicating the poverty, those are issues that I don't know if the mission-oriented approach will work, but it's worth it to try it. Because if it doesn't work, we'll have to find out some other ways to tackle those problems. And I would say that with failure, the following thing. What happened if Valencia City in 2030 is not able to become a climate neutral city and gets to the 80% of the success rate? Was worth it?
Big achievement, of course.
Yeah, that's the question. When people ask me about the failure, well, innovation is more related. Is a lot very related with failure. But I don't know if we don't get to the point, but we get 80% of the way done. Was it worth it or not? That's the question. So I would say the cities in this just say we have no other chance. It's try it or the planet will exist but probably we will not. You know, it's not like the planet is going to be to disappear. No, the planet will be other planet.
Yeah.
I think probably we will not be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm very happy to talk to you. Very inspired by the way, the mindset you bring from Valencia, and thank you so much for being here and for inspiring us.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, the chance, for learning from you.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. You learned something new and also got inspired by the guest. Don't forget to share the episode on your social media and recommend it to people you think they are really interested in this topic. Thank you so much again for giving your valuable time to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.